Hi everyone, and welcome back to Wellness Wednesday, where every week I answer frequently asked questions from my Mind, Body, Spirit Challenge members, also online surveys that I conduct, and newsletter subscribers to my blog. So I get questions in from people all around the globe that have questions or concerns in regards to how to live a more holistic, balanced mind, body, spirit approach to daily living. So if you're watching this live and you want to post a question, I'll try to get to it in today's session. If not, I can definitely answer it. I will definitely answer it in an upcoming workshop. And you can do that by going to my website at sarah-rose.net. There's a link in the menu bar that says watch live, and from there you can watch it live, and also it'll give you the option to submit a question. There's 3 different ways you can submit a question on that site. So if you're watching this as a replay, whether it's on Google Plus or YouTube, then you can still go to the site and post your question. I read the comments, I read all the questions that come in, and it will be answered in an upcoming workshop. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching this a year from now, feel free to go to sarah-rose.net to post your questions, and I may be able to answer that on the next upcoming workshop. So every time a question comes in, I always try to feel out which one I feel most inspired to talk about, which one seems to be coming up the most for people, and which one I feel is going to reach the broadest audience and be the highest and greatest good for everyone. So a lot of times it's the same themes that keep rolling in from people. So I wanted to go ahead and start with today's question. Oh, also just a note that during this live broadcast, if you're on Google Plus, you can click over to my website to watch it. If you're on YouTube, you can click over, and you should be able to click over to watch it on my site as well, because on the site you can get a 50% discount to the Mind, Body, Spirit Challenge, and that's only during this live broadcast for the hour that this is aired. I'll leave that link up. So the Mind, Body, Spirit Challenge, I'm offering a 50% discount, which is almost $50 off, and that's going to be for the duration of the broadcast every Wednesday. You can always get that deal on that website. So I just wanted to mention that for you. And the question that I'm going to address today is, it comes in different forms, and essentially it's the same question, but the way it was worded that came in recently was, how can I overcome my inner critic? My inner critic. So it's important to know that when we're self-critical of ourselves, it's because it's based out of fear. It's based out of fear of fear of being wrong, fear of not being perfect, fear of what others may think, fear of not being good enough. And at the end of the day, those all roll into, when you boil it down to the nitty-gritty, those all boil down to ego-based tendencies that tend to keep us stuck, and also self-worthiness issues. So just know that everybody experiences this. Everybody has an inner critic. Everybody has an ego. Everyone experiences this to various degrees, and it depends on how you're aware of it and how you perceive things. It's going to make the biggest impact on whether or not you allow this inner critic to take control of your psyche, or take control of your actions and your thoughts and your beliefs, basically. So bringing awareness to it is very important. So I wanted to choose this question because I feel like this is a very good one that a lot of people can relate to, and I can relate to, and so I wanted to go ahead and talk about this one today. The fear. So fear is the driving force behind all of this, and the fear tends to generate a lot of stress, anxiety, and tension in our life. And so I also wanted to talk about this because so many people are writing in about reducing stress and anxiety in their life as well, and so it sort of plays into this question as well. The more stress, the higher the stress, the higher the tension, the higher the resistance that we're offering into the universe, the greater degree of deviation there is between where we're at and who we truly are from an energetic nature, from a spiritual nature. So we are energetic vibrational beings of the highest vibrational frequencies, and from our spirit level, from our core authentic self, that's who we are. And the degree of stress or anxiety that we're feeling is directly proportional to the deviation between where we're at and how much fear we've wrapped around us and who we truly are. So the more layers of fear-based energies and the more layers of self-doubt or self-criticisms that we wrap ourselves in, the lower we bring our vibration, which means the more misalignment we have with who we truly are, which equates to higher stress, higher anxiety, and higher tension in life. So at the root goal, the very root goal for this would be to close the gap, to close that gap between where we're at and who we truly are. And so otherwise, this drive to be perfect and this drive to this drive to be perfect out of fear of not being good enough or fear of what others may think will create a vicious cycle in our life that we just get caught up in. So the more we end up judging and criticizing ourselves, the less we are in a state of acceptance of ourselves. And the less we are in a state of acceptance, the more resistance we have, the more stress we have, and inevitably that leads to more fear-based energies being stored in our energy body. So, and then that just keeps cycling back. It just becomes a vicious cycle. So we tend to focus on our mistakes a lot, and it's whether you see this everywhere. Everybody, a lot of, whether it's the news or whether it's, whatever it is, people tend to point out the negatives a lot or focus on mistakes a lot. And when it comes to so since this is about self-criticism, we'll talk about it in respect to like how we're reacting to ourselves. We see that when we do something quote unquote wrong or when we make a mistake that we're not, it's a reflection of our self-worth, which is why it's a worthiness issue, because that's not really the case. So when we're stuck in these mistakes, looking at it as a mistake and looking at situations or events in our lives that cause us to feel judgmental or critical of ourselves, we're not able to see the bigger picture. We're stuck in the chaos, and we're not able to pull ourselves out of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that there are no accidents and that everything is here to serve us. Everything is here to serve our highest and greatest good. So whether it's career, relationships, finances, whatever it is, if it's forming an obstacle that you then find yourself criticizing yourself over, it's taking your present moment awareness away from the bigger picture, and again stemming from fear. So if we could start to view things like the bigger picture is, the bigger picture is that everything is there to make you stronger, wiser, and more empowered. So instead of beating yourself up when something is not perfect with yourself, and I really don't like to use the word perfect because I truly believe that we are already perfect with all of our imperfections. So I don't like to describe it that way. When you're able to view all of the things that you feel are happening that are wrong, that as an opportunity to learn, and you can really step back and ask, okay, what am I here to learn from this situation? What kind of virtue do I need to embody in order to move forward and progress past this? What is going to make, what am I going to have to do in order to get through this event or situation? So you start to ask those questions, and you'll start to get answers, and those answers may come in the form of self-acceptance. Those answers may come in the form of forgiveness. They may come in the form of releasing guilt. They may come in the form of honoring your truth. They may come in the form of self-acceptance or just trust in yourself and faith in yourself. So the answers will come in all different ways based on whatever it is that you're going through, if you're able to step back and ask and look at the events in your life as one big lesson. Like that, and the things that are happening, and viewing those things that are happening to you that would otherwise make you feel critical of yourself, you're now turning those into opportunities for growth and opportunities for empowerment. Okay, so the better question, the better way to word this question, I expanded it a little bit. The better way to word it would be, how do we allow ourselves the room to grow and learn from the perfection of our imperfections? And that's really the key element. From the perfection of our imperfections, because nothing is on accident. Everything is here to serve us. And I can speak to this personally. I went through a lot of physical health issues. I went through a lot of emotional issues. I went through bouts of insomnia. I went through major stress and anxiety. I went through, you know, all of those things. And I can see how they've served me, because if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation, which is now with you, which is something that I'm extremely passionate about. I wouldn't be on this new path in my life, which I feel is a life purpose. And it was all of those things that played out that were obstacles at one point and caused me to but had me look at myself in a way that was critical, and at first very judgmental. At first, and it was having to break through that. It was having to break through that need to be perfect, and that need to impress others, or that need to basically, that's it, that need to be perfect, that need to not be wrong, that need to not be fallible, that need to that was the underlying cause of a lot of things in my life that now have turned into being the biggest blessings and the biggest teachers, and have polished me in a way slowly over time by bringing my attention to them and looking at them from an angle of how can I learn from them, that has given me the ability to grow. And I feel like this mindset, this looking at life as one big opportunity, is one big obstacle course that we're going through, that we're all going through on our own journeys, and they're all here to, and all of these obstacles are here to serve us and to help polish ourselves to progress on every level, spiritual level, basically. And I feel like that mindset alone has helped silence my inner critic. Not to the point where it doesn't exist. I can be aware of, I can acknowledge it, and yes, shedding the ego over time through meditation and other practices is definitely key in that process as well. But it has transformed my life. I can say that for sure. And when we're stuck in our mistakes and worrying about things about ourselves and being self-critical about ourselves, we are not in the present moment, and so it doesn't allow us to see the big picture. But if we can start to view it from that different perception, then we will start to see the bigger picture, and we will start to get the answers when we ask, what are we here to learn? And when we start to apply those lessons to our life, magical things are going to happen. And one of the things that helps to it's a cycle before we get to that point. It's a cycle, like we're in that rat race of, you know, being self-critical, and then it turns into lack of acceptance of ourselves, and then that turns into more resistance. So it's definitely a cycle, but understanding that everything happens for a reason, and that nothing is an accident. It's placed within our path for a reason. That was key to helping me really take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and not beat myself up so much, and not be my worst critic anymore, and start to love myself from an inner place of knowing that all of this is perfect, and it plays out so perfectly when you just release and surrender to it, that this is a higher force at work here that probably no one will ever be able to fully understand, but on this physical level. But you start to get glimpses of it when you start to apply this theory to your life on a daily level, on a daily basis. So The other thing that was, really interesting for me, which was a breakthrough, was not only seeing every event as purposeful, but allowing myself to be fallible, just allowing myself to be imperfect, and allowing the mistakes to happen and then learn from them, and not allowing, but accepting that other people are going to be fallible, and knowing that they're all on their own journey and that they're all learning their own lessons, and that it's all woven together so perfectly. Unless you don't get that, unless you're not at the point of understanding that, unless you're not at the point where you've beaten yourself up enough to where you finally say enough is enough. What am I missing? What can I learn here? Where do I go? How, when you start to ask those questions and you get sick of beating yourself up, then you start to get those answers. And so that's really helped me. I would say the mindset, the perception to take away from this was to start to view, if you start to feel yourself being critical on yourself or judgmental on yourself, know that that is fear-based energy that stems from an ego tendency to keep us stuck where we're at. So, and that it's self-worthiness issues that are at the core of it, and that by looking at everything as a lesson in life and everything as an opportunity for growth, you release the need to condemn yourself for things that are wrong, because you're already rolling, you're already on to the next best thing, you're already learning from it, and it's no longer going to hold you back, and you will cease to nitpick yourself and be critical of yourself, because you'll be so focused on the positive aspect of these potential, the positive aspects of these obstacles, that you won't be stuck in this place of self-criticism or self-doubt, because you'll only be progressing from it. You'll only be moving forward. So every thought that you have is either going to be one that empowers you or one that disempowers you. That's it. And when you start to look at everything as an opportunity for empowerment, then you'll start to apply these to this mindset, to the situations in your life that are causing you to be critical. And it's a very transformational perception. I would go as far as to say that this perception is enough to transform your life. It's enough to save your life. If this is depending on the degree of self-criticism or lack of worthiness issues, depending on that degree, this shift in perception is key and huge to being able to pull yourself out of those dark places that otherwise would consume you at a core level. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I think that's about what I wanted to cover for today, and I think if you feel this message is helpful for someone, if someone comes to your mind when you think of this, the first person that comes to your mind, if you feel like you need to share this video, feel free to share it. Feel free to post your comments below. And I always check the comments. I always check all my social media. So whether it's Facebook at Sarah Rose Wellness, Twitter at Sarah Rose Yoga, or Google Plus, or even Instagram, I'm on all the social media, and I always respond to social media. I love the interaction. I love the feedback. And if this kind of information is sort of jiving with you and you want to dive into this kind of stuff a little deeper, then I welcome you to consider joining the Mind, Body, Spirit Challenge, which is 365 days of mind, body, spirit wellness, a total holistic approach to living for an entire year, energy-based approach. It's a huge journey inward, and I'm so happy to be hosting that challenge and have that opportunity to interact with people on a very personal, on a very interactive level as well. So it's a self-study course, sort of at your own pace, and it does have group coaching calls every month, as well as guided meditations and things like that, tools to use that will help in this process of overcoming fears and overcoming worthiness issues and overcoming this self-critic inside of us, in order to get back into alignment with who we truly are. So again, you can visit my website at sarah-rose.net. And I'm very happy that you tuned in today, and I'm very excited about next week as well. So if you have a question, post it on my site. I will review it, and again, I always pull the ones that I feel the most drawn to, the ones I feel are the most common questions, and I go ahead and answer those every week, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you. Namaste.